Live from the Emerald City in Seattle, Washington, ladies and gentlemen, the Bigfoot and the big UFO and Bigfoot paranormal hotspot of the Pacific Northwest, coming directly to you around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Sunday, and I am your host, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer, occupying the captain's chair tonight for SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including all of our listeners on the digital side at Revolution Radio. And don't forget, you can always find our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Just do us all a favor, please, and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store, and catching up on the SOR Newswire, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special show for everyone. This is going to be just a fun night. We have Tonya and Tonya Madia with us tonight. They are paranormal investigators, lecturers, and authors, and they are going to bring us up to speed on all of the paranormal activity, the esoteric, and the Fortean and unique things that are going on around the planet, and their investigations that they've been involved with. But of course, we couldn't let the Spaced Out Sundays go too far without bringing on our good friend Peter Davenport from the National UFO Reporting Center at the top of the hour here to literally find out what brand new sighting reports might have been happening around the planet since last week when we last talked with Peter. And of course, we are all still hunkered down, kind of locked down on the planet right now, and our feelers are out there, and our antennas are kind of watching the internet and the night skies as well, trying to figure out what's really happening out there. So welcome everybody aboard to Spaced Out Sunday, and let's bring everybody on right now. Tonya and Joey, are you there?
We sure are. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for staying up late with us tonight. I know that this is a couple hours ahead of Pacific time out there in the Midwest where you guys are in Eastern Ohio. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Peter, are you there on the line?
Indeed I am. And looking forward to this, Michael.
Fantastic.
Always look forward to Sunday night.
Yeah, well, me too. I tell you what, we are so blessed, Peter, to be able to snag a few moments of your time each Sunday night like this, because I know your busy schedule and the fact that you appear on many other famous radio shows around the planet on a normal basis. And thank you again for joining us tonight from your bunker out there in Eastern Washington.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. And that's one of the nice things, one of the very few nice things about the coronavirus infection is it causes everybody to stay at home and be available for these radio broadcasts. So,
yeah, I tell you what, our
side of it.
Our audience has just skyrocketed during this last month for sure, because of the fact that people have some extra time in their hands and they are very curious about what's going on out there and the paranormal, ufology, and cryptids and ghosts and all sorts of stuff. So I am in hog heaven right now, having you guys on the line with me and being able to share our information and entertain folks who are a little bored sitting around the home sometimes. So let me do this right off the bat. There is a connection between Tonya and Joey and Newfork. And Tonya, or maybe Joey, whoever would like to jump in, might want to explain how that North Carolina case that was also reported on Newfork kind of spurred you guys on to do some of the investigations you were doing out there on the East Coast.
That's right. So over the course of the show, we'll talk about this in more detail. But from 2015 2015, May, it was exactly 5 years ago, to May of 2017, we did 150 hours of investigations at the Webb Memorial Library and Civic Center, which is in Morehead City, North Carolina, on the Crystal Coast, otherwise known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic. And one night during the course of the investigation, we encountered an interdimensional being. And it looked like something, it was hairy and it was fanged, and we could hear it growl, and it was a very odd thing. And when we got the contract to do the book and we were writing the book, we wanted to look for UFO sightings over the course of our investigation. And sure enough, and I'll go through the book a little later and find out the exact report, but there was a New Fork report of a UFO over Morehead City around in this time frame. And it was very, very helpful to corroborate seeing this interdimensional being there. We saw these spectral MIBs, Men in Black, around that same time. So that kind of corroboration that Peter allows through New Fork is so indispensable to us as paranormal investigators. Peter, it's a great honor to be on with you.
Well, thank you, Joy, and I'm delighted to learn that all my work has benefited somebody, because I get very little feedback. I sometimes wonder whether I'm talking to a brick wall by putting out all this UFO material, and I'm delighted to see that the product of my work actually benefited somebody.
Oh, I think it benefits a lot of people. Our colleagues talk about it, and oh yeah, you are not toiling in vain at all.
And isn't it fun, Peter, to realize that not just ufologists and researchers out there in that field, but the paranormal also are benefiting from your website, being able to go there and kind of cross-pollinate and check if there are, UFO activities in the same time that other paranormal activities are going on. I think that's fantastic, you guys.
Yeah, I think that's pretty exciting too, Michael. I'm delighted, and I'm going to, after my presence on this program for a few more minutes, I'm going to tune in the program and be listening throughout the evening, throughout the program. So I'm dying to hear what Tonya and Joey have to say about their work.
Well, and before we get there, let's concentrate on you for the next few moments, Peter, and let's talk about some of the things that you might want to bring up since last week that might be going on at New Fork.
Well, I have a few reports, but I'd like to discuss something that actually involves you as well, Michael. I know you're involved with the Navy revelations about the gun camera footage that they have from, is it 2017 over the Atlantic?
Well, there were two of them on that gun camera footage. One of them was from 2004. Hang on just a second. Joey and Tonya, you're going to have to mute yourself in the background with some of that background noise if you can, if you're not speaking, just so we'll be able to get a clear channel of Peter there.
Will do.
And the 2004 one was off of the Nimitz on the west coast of San Diego. And then the other two videos on there were from the East Coast, 2015, that were recorded off the USS Roosevelt. So, yeah, we got 3 videos that were just re-released by the Navy confirming that they were unidentified.
Yeah, they confirmed that they were official Navy videotapes, and they were not classified. It's an astonishing revelation, but the reason I mention it and wanted to talk about it a little bit takes us back to 2 weeks ago when we were talking about passive radar for detecting UFOs. The reason I bring it up again is the Navy seems to be focusing on what its pilots are seeing, but they haven't really talked about what their naval surveillance system detected, and it ran for about 60 or 65 years, I believe. So it just goes to show that the Navy is masquerading as an organization that's being open with its data, but I would like to talk to the commander of the Naval Space Surveillance System to see what they have detected.
Wow.
And
that's a good point, Peter, because indeed there was obviously Chief Petty Officer Kevin Day was in charge of the radar ship, the Princeton, that was in the Nimitz UFO, the Nimitz Encounter UFO, but the Nimitz carrier group, and it was running the Spy 1 radar aboard the ships, and they literally picked this up too. But you're talking about something even larger and more covering the entire United States with this naval surveillance system, you're calling it, right, Peter?
Yeah, exactly. And it stretched from San Diego to Fort Stewart, Georgia. And the purpose of it was to track every orbiting object that passes over the United States in the course of a typical day. So they are handling a gargantuan amount of data. And they clearly must have detected UFOs. If they boast that they can detect something down to the size of a bolt or perhaps a packet of cigarettes, something in that size range, are we to believe that they are not able to detect a disc 60 meters in diameter or so? Well, clearly, they seem to be focusing on these pilots, but they haven't said word one that I'm aware of about their naval surveillance system, and they're building a new one out in the mid-Pacific. I guess they perceive that most targets that they are charged with tracking as well would be coming from west of the United States. But I would like to sit down with the commander of the Naval Space Surveillance System that tracks a much, much larger volume of atmosphere than the Princeton did. The Princeton probably has radar that can reach out several hundred miles. The Naval Space Surveillance System has a system that covers probably about 3,000 miles from east to west on the southern tier of the United States.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's fascinating. And wouldn't it be interesting to have access to that data, Peter?
oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be scary.
Given the
Scare some people.
given the fact that you've told me that maybe folks report 1 out of 20,000 UFO sightings to New Fork, that there's many more sightings that are being had that aren't necessarily reported. I can't imagine the sighting reports that the Navy might have in their database. That's kind of scary. You're right.
And it's interesting that they're able to keep so many people who operate that naval space surveillance system from talking about it. I would like the Navy, if the Navy wants to be really forthcoming and candid about all of this, they should apprise all of their personnel in the Naval Space Surveillance System that they are free to talk about some of the odd things that they detected, or the Submarine Corps.
Yeah.
I happen to know that there have been some incidents through personal conversations with people who've been involved with incidents aboard U.S. submarines that have apparently bumped into something very, very strange out in the Pacific Ocean. So I would like to see the Navy become much more forthcoming than what they've been with regard to UFO phenomena.
Oh my, Peter, are you saying that literally submarines may have actually had physical contact, bumped into UFOs, or just recorded them on their sonar?
They bumped into them. Their systems were affected. You know, we hear about nuclear facilities in Montana being shut down by the presence of a UFO. Well, there's no reason that the same couldn't happen to a nuclear submarine.
Yes.
And the Friday before Bill Clinton was sworn in, this makes it 1993, I guess, I had a dinner with a former Navy person former submariner, who at the time was working for Boeing. Boeing has a tremendous interest in the submarine industry, and he told me about an experience that he personally was involved in. He was aboard a research vessel, and one day all the power failed in the vessel. Not only did the normal lighting system fail, but the emergency lighting system, which is supposed to go on when the power fails, the battery-powered emergency lighting, also failed. So they were in an entirely dark tube, and it lasted for several seconds, and then the whole thing, the electrical system restored to its original condition. The only thing that I can imagine that would cause that is something that is non-electrical that can penetrate the pressure hull of a submarine. And this gentleman felt the same way. They were all told not to talk about it because it would be a security risk. But I'm reasonably certain that it had to do with a UFO.
Oh my, Peter, you're talking about a nuclear submarine literally that was shut down? And
all the lights went out.
All the power went out. Oh my.
All the power went out. Everything that required power was offline, and to include the emergency lighting. That should not happen. The emergency lighting is designed expressly such that when the power fails, the battery-powered emergency lighting comes on, so they're not all trapped in a dark tube with no way to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Even one thing I forgot to mention, even people's flashlights were non-operational.
Oh my, you're kidding me.
No, it's hard for me to imagine how something like that could happen. But that's what he reported to me, and this guy was a serious-minded individual. After all, he'd been given a clearance to work aboard a submarine, and they choose the very best for that service.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine not having any light source at all in a submarine and trying to deal with that emergency. That would have been crazy. With nothing to go, and totally dark down there. Interesting. Okay.
That's what he reported.
And obviously, we have to assume that President Clinton at the time was briefed on that matter at one point, and of course, we'd never heard about it. So.
Yeah. The story came to me just the Friday before President Clinton was inaugurated. That would have been January 20th of 1993. But the incident had happened several years or perhaps a decade or more earlier.
I see. Oh, fascinating stuff.
I'm sure the president of the time was briefed on that.
Yep.
As were senior officers in the submarine service. But there
are
a lot of odd things that are happening, Michael, and they don't see the light of day. No pun intended in this case.
Well, in that regard, are there one or two sighting reports that you want to relay to us before we have to take our break at the...
Joey and Tonya will be interested. The second one I'd like to talk about, it comes from North Carolina. They might find that particularly interesting. But the first case I'd like to talk about comes from Gulf Breeze, Florida, Michael.
Oh, my.
You're familiar with because of the celebrated case that, or actually number of cases that occurred there beginning in November 1987 with Ed Walters and his wife, who saw multiple and photographed multiple UFOs in the Gulf Breeze area. Gulf Breeze being in the extreme western end of Florida in the Panhandle. But a young woman writes that on the 16th of April, which was a Thursday, I believe, this is two or 3 weeks ago, she was walking, I believe, on the beach, or at least close to the beach, when at 6:15 p.m. on that Thursday night, when her attention was drawn to a very highly reflective silver gray spinning disc that was streaking across the sky. The sighting lasted only for about 10 seconds, she estimates, but her attention was riveted on this disc that was alternating between flashing silver and gray color from it. At what speed, I don't know, but the object streaked towards the water, and it suddenly, while she was watching it, executed a very sharp left-hand turn, perhaps a 90-degree turn, and just accelerated and vanished from her sight, all again in the course of 10 seconds or less. Very, very nicely written report. She even includes latitude and longitude for her location at the time. So
wow.
She's done a great job.
Yeah. Fascinating report.
Yep. And I mention that in part because I'm getting a lot of reports very similar to this. Highly reflective objects that are seen during daylight hours. And this is sort of a new trend in ufology. It used to be the case that most of the reports were distant lights in the sky. I think we've rounded a corner in ufology, and these objects we call UFOs, presumably piloted by aliens, are showing themselves much more clearly than used to be the case. I'm looking at the clock. I see we have just a couple more minutes. I'd like to squeeze in the second case from Granite Quarry, North Carolina, which is just northeast of Charlotte. Joey and Tonya probably know where it is, but this is Tuesday of this past week, just 5 days ago, at 11 a.m., a gentleman writes that he was driving south on the Highway 52 in Granite Quarry, North Carolina, and he noticed off to his left a very shiny object. He says he estimates it was 2 miles distance from him. And while he was watching it, Michael, a black, fuzzy-looking object, he describes, rose out of the top of the first object he had seen. To his great amazement, the black object suddenly stabilized just above the shiny object, and then very quickly just shot up straight vertically into the sky. The guy was absolutely shocked by what he had seen. After the black object that had come out of the top of the first object disappeared, the original object, he says, was moving to his left, and it too suddenly accelerated at an unimaginable rate and just shot up in the sky, apparently almost following the same track as the black object. Wow. So these events appear to be occurring on a routine basis.
Oh my, yeah, and in reality, you don't hear about those kinds of details in reports in the past. So these are new phenomena, like you said, that seem to be happening more frequently, and even during daylight hours. It's almost as if whoever is doing this out there has realized that they don't need to cloak themselves any longer into the darkness of the evening or whatever. That's a fascinating report. You know what? We are down at the bottom of the hour, getting ready for our commercial break here. But Tonya and Joey, is there anything that you'd like to say to Peter before we make to our break here and lose him for the rest of the show?
Just thank you so much for the work that you're doing. It's very important. Folks, go to the National UFO Report Center, the New Fork website. Check out July 13th of 2016, and that's where the report is over Morehead City that links to the interdimensional and the spectral MIB activity that we saw.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Joey. Those are about the only thing that keep me moving forward in this business, and I'm terribly touched by your kind words. So thank you very much, and I'm going to sign off here, Michael, and tune into the program and listen to the rest of the interview.
Wonderful, Peter. Thank you again. We will talk to you next week. Matter of fact, next week, you and I are going to spend a whole hour together at the top of the show. I'm looking forward to that.
I am too, and thanks again for the airtime, Michael.
Good night. Good night now. All right, everyone, hang on to your seats and relax. We're going to be back with Spaced Out Radio on Sunday here in just a moment.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Sunday, everyone. My guests tonight, Tonya and Joey Madia. I was going to get a little introduction here before we get them into the details of what they're doing. But Tonya Madia is an author, Reiki master, medium, yoga teacher, and a massage therapist who believes in the importance of cultivating and trusting your intuition. She has seen firsthand how practices such as yoga, meditation, and Reiki lead to a deeper awareness and understanding of the natural intuitive abilities that we all possess. And she now teaches others how to develop these life-enhancing skills. And Joey Madia, when he is not investigating or writing about strange phenomena, is a screenwriter, audio dramatist, I love that word, playwright, novelist, actor, and a director. He specializes in bringing true stories to the stage and screen. His screenplay, The Man at the Foot of the Bed, a paranormal thriller based on a true story, has been a 2-time official selection at, get this, the Beverly Hills Film Festival. And he's an invitee there, as well as a 2-time quarterfinalist. And he applies his skills of story analyst and training in a variety of spiritual systems to his paranormal investigations. So I'm really excited tonight to spend the next few moments and with Tonya and Joey, and we're going to be talking about their amazing life and investigations and their books and research in the paranormal and the esoteric. So welcome, you guys, back to the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, I tell you what, we had a fun time with Peter for the first half hour of the show, and it's kind of fun to find out that you guys had a little connection there to New Fork with this interesting investigation that took place in North Carolina that you guys came across. I can't figure a better segue right now, so I'm going to ask you guys if you want to elaborate on what the heck happened out there in North Carolina at that investigation that you actually did out there.
Sure. So in 2015, Joey and I were living in Beaufort, North Carolina, and Joey was working for a tour company, and he was doing pirate tours and helping them develop content, helping them develop escape rooms. And he had a conversation with the owner of that business and discovered that there was a library in Morehead City, which was right next to the town we were living in of Beaufort. And that library was well known in the area for being haunted. And the business owner that Joey was collaborating with used to operate tours, haunted tours in that library. And that it was so haunted that everyone he had to run the tours had quit and actually fled, oftentimes in the middle of the night, and would call him at like midnight and say, something happened. We ran out with the group and we're not going back in there. So you're going to have to go lock the library up.
Oh, my, Tonya. Now, listen, before I even go any farther here, you mentioned something to me I wasn't familiar with and just shocked the heck out of me. You mentioned developing escape rooms. What the heck is that?
Oh, Joey can talk to you about that probably better than I could.
Okay,
so we're sort of all in an escape room now, in our own ways. It was very interesting. It was developed a number of years ago in Japan, and it was a way for students there to kind of blow off steam and relax. And basically it was a locked room mystery where you have an hour to solve a bunch of clues that will lead to a keypad combination or a literal key or some other thing that will let you out of the room.
Oh.
So a couple years ago, it went into something kind of escape room 2.0 where you create a lot of narrative around it and sometimes even have actors that participate with the people. So I did 2 escape rooms while we were down in North Carolina. One was a noir mystery called Dial M for Madman that had to do with the U-boat attacks off the coast of North Carolina. So that became a great synchronicity for us when we were then investigating the library. And the other one was sort of a pirate fantasy around Blackbeard and these magical objects, and it had a lot of cool video effects and sound effects of good pal of mine, Eric, plays Blackbeard, and we did a great video of him. And I've since done an escape room in Scotland having to do with fairies and the fairy lore of Scotland. So I like to combine the narrative work with the paranormal work because it's all story. And so escape rooms are really wild and fun. So when we get out of our own escape rooms here, I encourage everyone to go try one out. They're fun.
Well, it occurred to me, Joey and Tonya, that, my gosh, this is an interesting concept that might be really popular right now with the whole idea of a world lockdown in reality, and the idea that people could maybe take advantage of this diversion, kind of like a really cool story of an escape room. Is there any way that they could experience how to do this or something similar to that on any of your websites or anything?
Yeah, well, they can visit my Facebook page, so either Joey Madia or my Joey Madia professional page, and there's quite a bit of posts about these different escape rooms. They can keyword search online for escape room as well. If there are some really tech-savvy people out there, they might be doing virtual escape rooms where people could log in and go through the tour and kind of experience that way. But it's a wonderful thing, and no doubt that there will be a rash of COVID-19 escape rooms. There'll be laboratories and chemical laboratories and people in lockdown and trapped. So get in on the ground floor of that kind of thing.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. I'm going, wow, my mind is going wild over something like that. But listen, I diverted you guys from this really unique, you said something like a Nazi U-boat event off of the coast of North Carolina. You want to continue on with that?
Yeah, do you want me to take that over?
Yeah.
That's kind of my bailiwick. But So while we were working on the escape room, that was sort of the first year of doing this. I guess we went in 75 times over the course of 2 years. So we would go in several times a week, and we would bring in these guest investigators, and we'll talk more about that. But as far as the German U-boats, we decided to center this escape room about the madman having to do with these U-boats. So I'll set the scene. We're on the North Carolina coast. You have Morehead City, which is a giant open water port. I don't know if it still is, but at one point it was the largest deep water port on the East Coast. So you have all of these massive oil tankers coming in and out of that area during the early years of World War II. So 43, right, when the United States is involved. 352, I believe, U-boats, boats were sunk off the coast of North Carolina. 43, 44 before the Coast Guard, the U.S. Navy, so on and so forth, got a handle on this.
Now, wait, let me stop you right there, because I want to make sure I just understood what you just said here. You're talking about 300 or so German U-boats were sunk off the east coast of North Carolina?
No, I misspoke myself. 350 ships, oil tankers or whatever, were sunk by German U-boats.
Oh, I see.
Off the coast of North Carolina. Yeah. So it got so bad that they would have these blackouts where people would drive without their headlights on the coast. They would paint their windows black from the inside or put up coverings because you didn't want to have your TV on or some lights on and have a U-boat off the coast. I mean, the paranoia was so fascinating. And then these 2 U-boat sailors actually washed up on shore. So a U-boat was sunk off the coast of North Carolina. Several of them were. And they found tickets to the local movie theater in their pockets.
No.
Yeah.
So my.
It's this fascinating story. And then the great synchronicity of we launched the escape room and all. And then we start to get these communications in German on the spirit box. And that's a story that takes a little bit of time. We might want to wait till a little later in the show till there's a little more context about the investigation. But yeah, this communication with this German U-boat captain.
Now, wait a second. I know how a spirit box works. The idea of scanning radio frequencies, in a certain area to pick up potentially, messages and, names and dates and those kinds of things to answer questions potentially from the other side of the veil. And now you're saying literally you were picking up German language on these spirit boxes?
Yes, on several occasions. In fact, the really interesting part about that, Michael, was we would only get the German communications when someone in our group spoke even just a tiny bit of German, but it would only happen if there was someone there who spoke German.
Oh, my goodness. See, that lends the credibility to the idea of spirit boxes in general. A good buddy of mine, Joe Hauser, is very adept in these various versions of the spirit boxes, and people sometimes will poo-poo them, thinking, "Well, it's just radio frequencies, a scanner, picking up various voices, off of different radio stations." When in reality, wait a minute, if you're talking about in the eastern part of the United States picking up some German language on a spirit box, that lends quite a lot of credibility to the whole idea.
It certainly does. And the Webb Memorial Library, because it's such a battery for the paranormal, which we'll share over the course of our time together this evening, we picked up more communications there and had sometimes conversations that were question and answer or coherent comments that went 6-7 exchanges. We've never had such success with the spirit box to that level as we did at the Webb Library. But, with the interdimensionals, the spectral MIB, the ghosts, the portal activity, all of that we witnessed there, it's a very special place. But we believe, and the PSB-11, which was the box that we used, you can kind of turn off the radio antenna, and you're more getting the frequencies. And at least for us, it was indisputable that there was intelligent communication coming through.
Oh, my. And so the theory being that this could have been one of the deceased German U-boat sailors that were communicating, who may have died in that vicinity anyway, right?
Yeah, well, he actually didn't die. So we'll go into this now a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that. So we're getting these German communications, and it took about a year for all of this to unfold. Our daughter Jolie, who's 20 years old, she would sometimes come on the investigations with us, and Tonya's family, she could talk more about this. But going all the way back to her great grandmother, are all talented channelers, psychic mediums, automatic writers. And Jolie has this gift, so she would come and sort of guest investigate, which was great. She was 17, 18 at the time.
Yes.
People adored her. You know, you don't often see a 17, 18-year-old articulate psychic medium, you know, go in public on these kinds of things. And she could see this guy. So one night she came on the investigation. She said, Dad, in the corner of the room here, I see this man in Nazi uniform, and Jolie happens to be fascinated by the Nazis and that whole rise, so she had been studying it from the time she was a teenager. And some other people began to see, and then we had a guest investigator come in one night, and she said, there's someone in this room here that has wounded his leg. I think it was a skiing accident. So that was another piece of data. And then this guy is Zeke Heiling, and he's getting annoyed because I'm trying to do pidgin German. You know, I'm saying sprechen Sie Deutsch, and, you know, just making a total hash job of it. And so he's annoyed, and he's giving all these gestures and whatnot. And when she points him out, he walks over to our daughter, spectrally, puts his hand on her shoulder and says, Danke, as if to say, thank you for letting all these people know that I'm here. So flash forward over time. We're trying to figure this out. What is going on with the leg, with the Nazi? How could there be a Nazi in a library in North Carolina? Well, one day, and we had been going to that library, and I would do programs there. We did research there. We were there several times a week. On the mantle in that room is a poster of a sunken German U-boat, U-352. And it was sunk off the coast of North Carolina by the Coast Guard. They killed about half of the crew with machine gun fire as they were emerging, and the rest were taken prisoner. Well, the captain of this U-boat is taken prisoner along with these men. Now, there's a U.S. Naval Intelligence declassified report available online. I'll tell you the captain's name. His name was Helmut, Helmut, Rathke, Rathke, if anybody wants to look him up and look up the report. Well, the report says that this man is completely draconian. The only person that's more of a Nazi than Helmut Rathke is Hitler himself. When they get to the prisoner of war camp, Michael, he has his men regimented, doing way more strict things than the U.S. Navy is asking of these prisoners of war. So flash forward to the 1970s, and they have a reunion not far from the library, say a half an hour to 45 minutes. They send an invitation to Rathke, and written on the invitation is, you know, Capitan, we are not inviting you to this reunion, but we're letting you know that we're having it. So here is a man, right? This is, he sunk, he had no kills, as they say, right? He had sunk no ships. He had a leg wound that came, I messed up the story a little. He had a skiing accident. The woman was saying someone got their leg stuck in a boat. So she was picking up on the boat, and she was picking up on the Nazi, but it was actually a skiing accident. So here, this man was a total disgrace. The proof of it is in this library, in this room with this poster. They had the reunion in the 1970s, not far from there, and so he comes to this psychic battery of a place pretty near to the site of his great defeat and shame, and he's still touting the party line. He's still being the Nazi. I mean, it's incredibly fascinating story.
Oh my, what a fantastic tale of amazing World War II lore that I don't know that many people know about. That whole idea of U-boats off the Atlantic coast literally being not shot down, but taken out by the U.S. military, and then actually getting a hold of. So you're telling me that those Nazi U-boat sailors actually had this reunion in that general area themselves, right?
Yeah, in North Carolina, which was fascinating that they all traveled from Germany or wherever they were living. I would assume most of them were from Germany. And about 30 years later, they all get together. You know, they had been prisoners of war, not not far from there. It was the site of their defeat. Yeah, so fascinating to put all of that together in that way. You know, Jolie came down one morning and I had started to put the pieces together when I saw this U-352. And I went home and I researched it and I found some pictures of the man. I didn't tell her what it was. There was just a picture, and they're from his time in the prisoner of war camp. So he's in a simple, sort of khaki uniform, all one color. No Nazi insignia, of course. He's in a prisoner of war camp. And I said, do you recognize this guy? And she said, that's the man from the library.
Oh, my.
So as paranormal investigators, you love that kind of multi-layered data, right? We got spirit box communications. People are actually seeing him. You have the poster. You have the declassified U.S. Naval Intelligence report. Several other psychic mediums talking about things that they're seeing, impressions they're getting. It was really a dream for us.
Oh, my. And Tonya, as a mother, how does it feel to have a daughter like this who can corroborate and join in with some of your own passions as well?
Oh, it's wonderful, really. For me as a mom, it was great to have the opportunity that so many people who have these experiences, especially when they're children, myself included, when your parents don't know what to do with the fact that you're talking about people that they can't see. And they dismiss it as imaginary friends or your imagination or whatever. So when my daughter started talking at about 4 years old that she was seeing people and hearing things, I never dismissed it. I always, knew. And as she got older, it was a lot of fun. We'd be sitting. Pretty much every house we've ever lived in, we can probably talk about this later too, has always had activity. And a lot of times people who are very psychic act as batteries for locations. So we kind of amp up the activity in any place that we're in. So we'd be sitting in our living room, for example, and she'd say, Mom, look over in the corner there and tell me what you see. And I'd say, oh, there's a man standing over there. He's got a hat. He's, whatever. And she'd get, yep, that's what I see too. So it's been a lot of fun. And really, it's great because sometimes, especially if you are the type of psychic like I am, where you're not actually seeing an apparition there, you're kind of getting an impression in your mind's eye. And it's great to get that corroboration from someone else that, that's what I think I'm seeing right now is actually what I'm seeing. So it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. And I can really relate to what you're just saying. I have 3 now adult daughters and 1 adult son. And one of my daughters, well, all of them are, I swear they're psychic, but one of them in particular has an amazing story I want to relate to you guys after the break as well, just to kind of give my 2 cents worth in that regard. But we are now at the top of the hour, getting ready to do about a 5 to 6 minute break. So we're going to have plenty of time for you guys to relax and get something that you want to drink and eat if you'd like. And we'll be right back on Spaced Out Sunday in a moment.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Sunday. I am your host, the paranormal lawyer, Michael W. Hall. Thanks for joining me, and we welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, Louisiana. On the digital side, we are very proud to be on Revolution Radio. And don't forget, you can always check our archives for free at any time on youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store, and catching up on the SOR News Wire and so much more. So we are going to get back into it with Tonya and with Joey Madia, and paranormal investigations, ghosts, and all sorts of stuff. We just got through kind of going through some of the issues when you're dealing with paranormal in the family, when Tonya was relating how her daughter Jolie literally is kind of carrying the torch. It sounds like that she brought into the family as well, being an intuitive and a psychic. And that's a fascinating story. Does Jolie have any siblings that are also psychic as well on that, Tonya?
Well, her brother, Jeremy, is very intuitive himself. He's not as tapped into it. He's not as interested in cultivating those abilities as Jolie has been. She's been a lot more open and receptive to it, but certainly there seems to be some strong evidence that Jeremy has the abilities, should he choose to ever cultivate them.
Oh, I'll bet. Isn't that interesting? Kind of guys are kind of like that anyway, especially as youths. You know, they don't want to necessarily be any different than any of their buddies out there, I would imagine. I raised a teenage son myself, who's now an adult. So, but let me tell you a quick story about one of my daughters. Like I said, it was a Saturday morning. We're all sitting around basically the kitchen, you know, and my daughter is sitting there. The one I'm talking to you about is sitting there eating her cereal on an early Saturday morning, and Dad is in the kitchen doing the dad pancake breakfast on Saturdays. That's kind of what I do back in those days. And I'm just kind of doing my thing. Everybody's mellowing out on a Saturday morning. And all of a sudden, my daughter raises her face up from the cereal box that she was looking at, you know, like we all do when we eat cereal like that. She says, Dad, when are you going to clean out the motor home? And I look at her, I'm going, well, that's a strange thing for my young daughter, probably about 12 years old at the time, to ask me, because why would she be thinking about, you know, one of my honeydew lists, you know, from her mother kind of thing. And I'm going, well, I'll probably do that soon. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. And literally while I was talking with my daughter, my wife peeks her head around the corner of the hallway into the kitchen, and her face is literally white. She is very upset. She's going, oh my Lord, she says, that's exactly what I was just going to come down the hall and ask you. You know, and my daughter picks up on this. Of course, you know, family members seem to kind of do that periodically to one another, read their thoughts, each other's thoughts, and that kind of stuff. But it just confirmed with me at that moment when she was very young, and all my other kids are this way as well, is that they will literally just be tuned into something out of the blue that just blows you away. So I just wanted to get that little story off my chest and corroborate what you guys must have been dealing with in raising your own kids.
Yeah. It's a great story. And, not only does it sound like your daughter was tuned in, of course, with her mom, as she would be, but I think, too, the fact that she was probably just kind of in a slight, alpha state, trance state as she was gazing at that cereal box.
Yes.
Let her be open to that telepathy that she was experiencing. So that's a great story.
And one of my clients, my famous client, Grant Cameron, who I've represented as the paranormal lawyer, they call me, of course, for many years, he mentions the idea that there are many different types of contact modality, that in reality, some people will maybe use psychic power. Some people have even, drugs or mushrooms, or even things like motor skill, or even in the shower. You have those kinds of issues that you can zone out, get into the zone, in other words, and experience those contacts with sources outside of your own realm. And I think Keith says that many of them are related to one another, whether it's extraterrestrial, whether it's off-worldly, where it's spiritual, all that kind of stuff is just different contact modalities that are able to get us through that veil of the consciousness that's really going on out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I find that to be true myself. I do a lot of automatic writing, and I get a lot of information from different, I call them light beings who refer to themselves as the Council of 12, Archangel Michael, but that's all contact. So, yeah, and it really, to me, has to do with different states of consciousness, as you said.
I'm fascinated with the idea of automatic writing. I have actually seen a few people that I've come across actually do this. But could you give us a little bit of scenario of your protocols for how you actually do automatic writing?
Sure. My first experience with automatic writing really began when I was about 12 years old, maybe a little bit younger. But my grandmother was also a channeler, psychic medium. She actually did an entire autobiography of Justin the Martyr through automatic writing.
Oh, my.
Yeah, she tried very hard to get it published. She was never able to get a publisher who was interested in it. It was fascinating. I mean, it's just this thick manuscript of this man's life story all through automatic writing.
Now, let make sure I clarify. You're talking the religious figure, Justin the Martyr, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay, go. Keep going.
So, and this was my paternal grandmother. And this was back in the 70s when she was channeling this. And I was just fascinated watching her do this. And she would teach me different things. And I was never, let me just say, at that age, I was never good at any of the things she was trying to teach me. But she was trying to teach me astral travel, automatic writing. But I think I was just a little bit too young at that time. So for years, I would try automatic writing. Her method of doing it is a method I think that a lot of people use. She, protect herself. She would always tell me, her protocol, put yourself in white light a candle, say a prayer, and then go into a meditative or trance state. And then she would begin writing. And for her, she would just gently place her pencil on the page and it would just begin moving all by itself. And I tried that for years and years and years, never had any luck, even into my young adulthood, wasn't able to do it. So I gave up for many years until about 2010, I met someone, and I actually met her because Joey and I were hosting a weekly writers group, and she was a writer, and she came and shared one of her stories. And her and I hit it off. We liked each other quite a bit. And a couple of weeks went by, and I got a phone call from her, and she said, could I meet with you next week? There's something I really need to talk to you about. And I was like, sure, absolutely. She said, okay, well, I have to do this because if I don't meet you in person, I'm afraid I'll chicken out to tell you what I need to say. So I said, sure, okay. So I was really intrigued at that point. So we meet the following week, and she has this notebook in her hand, and she says, okay, I'm just going to spit this out. Of course, she hardly knows me at this point. She doesn't know anything about me. She says, okay, during my meditation, my guides told me that I needed to tell you that you need to try automatic writing, and here's a notebook, and you need to do it. And she just looked at me, waiting to see if I was going to think she was crazy or not.
Wow.
And yeah, and so, of course, I didn't think she was crazy because I had lots of experience with automatic writing. So I said, well, tell your guides I'm happy to try it, but I've never had any success with it. And I took her notebook and I went home that evening, and much to my amazement, I was able to begin automatic writing. And I basically did the same protocol that my grandmother did initially. I would just kind of hold my pen gently on the page, and it would begin to move, and I began getting messages. The first message, of course, I got was from my grandmother, who had at that time been deceased for quite some time. But over the years, I've kind of cultivated it to a way that I get into a meditative state, I hear the communication, and I'm just writing it in my own hand. It's just easier to facilitate at this point. It goes quicker. I'm much better able to read what I'm writing. So that's how it works for me. But I have talked to other folks who do automatic writing, and I think everybody has a way that works best for them.
My goodness, what was your feeling when literally you started this process and it started to work, and then your grandmother comes through? Tell us about that.
I was absolutely amazed. At first, I had to laugh because all these years I had been trying with absolutely zero success. All I would ever get were like little squiggles, and just nothing. And I thought it was quite appropriate that my grandmother would be the first message that I received. But it also reminded me of another funny story having to do with communication from my grandmother from beyond the veil. So one of my grandmother's favorite tools was the Ouija board. And all throughout the 70s, my grandmother never went anywhere without her Ouija board tucked under her arm. She'd show up at anyone's home ready to communicate through the Ouija board. And I was always fascinated by that as a child as well.
This lady was way beyond her time at that point. Can you imagine that? That's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, she absolutely was. So when I was about 14, I was never allowed to participate in the Ouija board until she would always say, you're not old enough. So when I was 14, finally I was old enough. And she again, told me the importance of surrounding yourself with white light, saying a prayer for protection, and so forth. And to always take it serious. It's not a toy, it's not a game, so on and so forth. So I was 14. She gifted me my own Ouija board. And of course, being a 14-year-old girl, I had my girlfriends over after school, and what did we do? Everything she told us not to do. So, we didn't really take it serious. When we were getting communications, we were a little bit confrontational and, joking around with it. We didn't know if we really, believed that it was not us, moving the planchette and so forth. So I started having horrible nightmares. Things would move around in my room, and this activity in my bedroom started to amplify over the course of several weeks. And now I didn't know what to do. So I didn't want to talk to my grandmother and ask her for advice because I would have to fess up that I had, pretty much disobeyed what she had instructed me to do in terms of using the Ouija board. Well, finally, the activity got so bad that I had to go to her and say, hey, we were goofing around. We were being confrontational with this entity that was coming through, and now I'm having these horrible nightmares. Things are moving. My radio was turning on by itself at like 3 a.m. every night. So she, of course, was furious with me. She helped to clear the energy in my room. She takes the Ouija board back and she says, you are never to use this again. So for many years, I didn't. And when my grandmother passed a couple decades later, we all wanted to, take a memento for ourselves. And my grandmother was also an artist. So among some of her possessions that I wanted was some of her art. And of course, the Ouija board that she had taken back from me all those years before. I didn't want to use it at that point. I just wanted it as a reminder of her. But curiosity got the better of me. And when I got home that evening, I pulled out the Ouija board and thought, well, maybe I'll try to communicate with Grandma. So I sat down in the middle of my living room floor and put the planchette on the board and said, Grandma, are you here? And of course the planchette moves over to yes. And I said, do you have a message for me? And it spelled out, I told you never to use this. So I put it away, and I don't really use the Ouija board. I have used the Ouija board on a few occasions since then with our good friend and mentor, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, who sadly we lost last July.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
And I always felt comfortable using the Ouija board with Rosemary because she was just a consummate professional. She absolutely knew what she was doing. I never had any negative experiences when I was, doing it with Rosemary. But other than that, I'm not a huge fan of the Ouija board myself.
Yeah. Can you explain what it's like to have both of your hands on the planchette or one, and actually how it feels that it's actually moving by itself? Can you explain how that feels to you?
It's a very odd sensation because and one thing my grandmother also always told me is that you should never use the Ouija board by yourself, which again, I was breaking another rule when I tried to communicate with her that night. But whether you're doing it by yourself or you're doing it with another person, you very, very lightly place your fingertips on the planchette. And
is that both of your hands or just one?
So if you're using it by yourself, you can put both of your hands. If you're using it with another person, you generally will just have a few of your fingers on there of one hand.
Got it.
And then the other person, same thing. What it feels like is that there's an unseen force. To me, it almost reminded me of feeling like if there was a magnet under the table or something that was kind of pulling the planchette. It's a very odd sensation. And you can tell that you're touching it so lightly, you are not moving it.
Yeah, you're not moving it, and you get the feeling that the other person that you're doing it with is not directing it as well. Is that right?
Yes, that's been my experience. And you can tell I have had a few Ouija board experiences where it's very clear that the person you're working with is just kind of joking around and they're pushing it. You can see just from the fine muscle movement in their hand, watching their arm, and just by the way that the planchette is moving, you can really tell if somebody's pushing it versus it's moving on its own accord.
Yes. Fascinating. Wow. Okay. This is great, interesting information and admonitions as well for folks out there not to take these things with a grain of salt and to not do them if they're not professionally up to speed on how to do that, for sure. Obviously, there's caveats out there, and any kind of attempts to contact the other side of the veil. But like you said, you prepare yourselves for protection when you do this as well.
Absolutely. And that's not just for Ouija boards, but really any kind of paranormal work that you're doing, whether it's automatic writing, investigating a location, always.
And I would imagine as well, Joey, that that's something that you have to discuss with the people you're teaching, the people you are talking with, when you go on some of these tours, and bring folks that really might not be professionals like yourself along with you, right?
That's right. It was a huge challenge. So over the 2 years that we did the investigation at the Webb Memorial Library and many times since on other places, but we brought over 500 people through there with us. And I've kind of graphed it on a continuum from cynic, people who just don't believe anything, no matter what's going on. They want to debunk it. We've all encountered them in our work. And they can be very difficult. On the other side of the spectrum, though, you have the over-enthusiast, which people don't always talk about, but that's, any breeze, any little creak in the house, any shadow, it's paranormal.
Yeah.
But what you really want is that skeptic. You want that person that's open-minded, that's looking to triangulate data right from the box, from the mediums, from the history of the place, using all these wonderful tools that we have. But in order to be that true skeptic and be open to the experience, you have to open up your energy centers. But you want to protect yourself at the same time. So Tonya and I do workshops on this. We talk about it on our live stream weekly show for people because it's very important. There's all these shows, reality TV shows, where these groups get a bunch of equipment and go into abandoned hospitals and all these places, and they egg on the spirits. That was a big thing, especially a decade ago, right? To bully the spirits, cause them to get angry so their energy spikes, and they've backed off some of that. But anybody thinks that they can buy some equipment online and be a paranormal investigator. Well, you can get things attached to you, follow you home, really cause havoc in your life. We could wind up bullying spirits and ghosts, right? As Tonya always says, they're humans without a body, many of them. So we have to have a mutual respect. So it's that keeping open-minded, open-hearted, keep your sensing systems open, but yet have that white light and sensibility, respect. Know when in the web sometimes we would say, do you mind if we come down this hallway? Well, if we heard no, or the investigation as it went on, you would reach a tolerance point. Typically about 90 minutes to 2 hours, the spirits and ghosts have had enough. They're fatigued, they're tired of communicating, they're tired of having people in their space. So you have to be respectful. So yeah, all those different protocols are very important to keeping safe and being respectful.
Wow, that's fascinating. Do you two either have opportunities or occasions where you are able to potentially help a spirit who is stuck in a location go on to whatever their purpose should be for the rest of their existence, or is that something you stay away from?
Oh no, we've had the opportunity to do that on several occasions. A couple of those happened to be in the Webb Memorial Library. There was a spirit, and I see we're getting close to the bottom of the hour, so we can probably hit on this when we come back. But just to briefly say, there was 2 spirits at the Webb Library, and I recently did some work around that in January in Marietta, Ohio, as well, at the Lafayette Hotel.
Oh, that is fascinating because, we always want to be positive influences, for the light here in our own world. But isn't it interesting to think that we could potentially do that same thing for wandering spirits out there who are potentially stuck in their own existence that they don't really understand what's going on. I think that's something we will get into here next segment of the show, and we are here, folks, with Joey and Tonya Madia. This is a fascinating show about the paranormal, ghosts, and spirituality, and we will be right back on Spaced Out Sunday.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docu-series featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and strange humanoids. Truth seekers Stephen Bassett, Jeff Meldrum, Jack Casher, and Stanton Friedman, among others, all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Well, we are back on Spaced Out Sunday. This is Michael W. Hall, your old paranormal lawyer, coming at you on a wonderful Sunday evening. And we are here with Joey and Tonya, the Madias, and they are investigators into the paranormal. You guys, thank you again for joining me on Spaced Out Sunday. We are having a fun time tonight.
Yes, we are.
What do you think we should delve into next for the next break portion of the show? Something that we haven't spoke to you about yet.
Wow. Well, do you want to talk more about this, the crossing over and the mechanisms for that and the responsibility and maybe some cases that we've done where we've crossed over, because there's different reasons to cross over. So that could be interesting.
I think that would be, a good idea if we could explain to people what we mean by the idea that potentially these spirits out there that seem to be stuck in a place, in a haunting potentially, and what you've run across there, and the idea that you might be able to help them cross over to potentially the light, I guess.
Right. So it's really applying investigative skills case by case to assess the situation. And Tonya can talk about specific cases because she's the one who primarily, sometimes with help from living people and sometimes with Rosemary after she passed, has helped with at least 2 crossovers to the light. So as we're doing an interview with the family, right, we'll go into people's homes or into their businesses to help them with these problems. Assessments need to be made, and sometimes there are misunderstandings that we could get into that later. So in one very interesting case, which is kind of unusual, I'll tell you this one, then pass it over to Tonya for some others. But there was a family that was in crisis. So on this side of the veil, there were disruptions within the family. There were some divorces going on, things like that. And there were sleep disruptions for these 2 teenage boys. So you have these things going on because everybody, I think, needs to remember that there's a feedback loop going on. We interact with the paranormal interacts with us, and sometimes that loop creates a lot of energy. So here's this family in crisis. There are tensions, there are things going on, and it's ramping up the activity in a house full of antiques and all this kind of stuff. So these 2 boys are sleeping upstairs and they can't sleep. They're part of sleep studies. The one boy is recently medicated to try to help him sleep. And they can't get a good night's sleep. They're woken up in the middle of the night. So in the course of our investigation, after doing the case history, Tonya sees this older woman. She's obviously in her 80s or 90s, has very wild white hair and a nightgown, and she had previously lived in the house, and she had dementia before she passed. What we found is that we take a lot of who we are into the next life, at least for a while, and then sometimes maybe get beyond that as we move from ghost, which is tied to the earthly plane, into spirit, crossed over but comes back for messages or whatever, just to make that distinction. So she's a ghost, and what she does is she pokes the boys in the middle of the night, pulls off their covers, but she's confused.
Oh my goodness.
Who are these strange people in my home?
Joey, are you telling me that it is possible to have a ghost with dementia in your house?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes, or a ghost that was angry, or a ghost that suffered a head injury and has short-term memory loss.
Right.
We've come across all of these things. I mean, there really is this path that goes where you bring a lot of addiction and things like that. Could be deceased addicts who have crossed over who are looking for their fix. and either latch on to people or take someone who's off the wagon or someone who's a moderate drinker. We could get into that so we don't go too far afield. But Tonya, with the help of Rosemary and our investigation and some ritual and some protocols that we've developed and learned, we were able to cross over this woman with the dementia because she just didn't know how to find the light. She didn't know what was going on, and she meant no harm, but she was incredibly confused. It was her bedroom that they were sleeping in, which was completely fascinating, and I think a great lesson for us. The last thing I'll say before I pass it over to Tonya is there are some spirits and ghosts who are very happy to be here. It happens a lot of times with kids. So we encountered 6, 7, 8 spirits of children in the Webb Memorial Library. Some people get very concerned about that. We had a teenage girl who burst into tears and she said, "How sad that they're here." No, this is a working library full of books and toys. Children come in every day. Who's unhappy in a library? Nobody, right? You're happy to be there and you're having a good time.
Yeah.
And these children love to be there. Well, certainly we're not going to go in and go, well, we need to cross over these child spirits, or if this woman was simply enjoyed the home. There were other spirits in that home that we didn't cross over. One was attached to a fireplace that had been rescued from a fire at an estate sale and was in the house. Well, she was doing no harm, and she was attached to the fireplace. So we can't be presumptuous either. But Tonya can tell you about some other specific cases with crossovers of different kinds.
Yeah, so Joey mentioned head wounds, and one of the first cases we encountered at the Webb Library was a young man. I was seeing him, and this was one of those great occasions where there were a couple of other psychic mediums in our group that night, and they were corroborating exactly what I was seeing as well. And we were able to determine that he could not remember who he was. He didn't know what had happened to him. We worked with him over the course of several weeks. We're able to find out that his name was Paul, that he had been in a motorcycle accident, had suffered a head trauma, and this all started to come to him after we worked with him over the course of these weeks, and we were finally able to help him cross over. But before that, he was sort of wandering around, not realizing even that he had passed, not knowing where he was. He was quite confused and upset, as you can imagine. So it's wonderful to be able to offer that assistance for individuals who are in that state and don't know where they are. We also had a gentleman at the Webb who, from the very first night that Joey and I began our investigation there, he was known. He was actually one of the reasons I mentioned earlier. Some of the previous investigators had fled in the middle of the night. And this particular gentleman, who we came to call Vincent, was part of the reason for that. He was very nasty. He particularly disliked women and would frequently come through the PSB 11 with a string of profanities directed at any women who were present at the time. He was known for, if a woman was in the particular area of the library where he was known for being, they would feel the hem of their dress being lifted. They would feel something on the small of their back, or they would just have these bruises manifest on their legs. He was quite a challenge. One of my first encounters with Vincent is I was seeing him, and he got right in my face and was screaming in my face. It was trying to scare and intimidate me quite a bit. But over the course of the 2 years that we were working in the library, I decided, I actually came to understand, because of different things that Vincent was showing me, that he had suffered at his own hand a horrible death and was still in pain and was still suffering. And he was a person who had suffered in life because he was just a miserable, unhappy person. So I thought, as a Reiki healer, it really would be wonderful if I could offer some healing for this particular...
My goodness, Tonya, you're talking about potentially Reiki through the veil, helping a spirit. Tell us how that works and what your experience was.
Well, I started just, whether I was in the web library or whether I was at home, you can send Reiki distantly. So I would send it from our home and I would send it to him when we were in the library. I would let him know that I was aware of his suffering and that he didn't have to suffer anymore, that he had the opportunity to let go of that suffering if he so chose. I would bring healing crystals, healing essential oils. I worked with my guides, and I also work closely. Anytime I do Reiki, I've just been wonderfully blessed from the time I started doing Reiki that Archangel Michael shows up for me when I'm working with Reiki. And so I would work with him, and over the course of several months, just sent Reiki healing and would offer these crystals and leave them in the area where Vincent would reside in the library. And we noticed a huge change in the communications that we got from Vincent over time. Instead of being belligerent and just angry, he became very subdued. And actually, after a period of time, what would happen is we would go to talk to Vincent through the PSB 11, and we would get these women spirits who seemed to be advocating for him. And I don't know if these may have been healers on the other side of the veil who were working with him because I had set the intention. We're not sure, but they would speak up and say, Vincent's not here, or he doesn't want to talk right now. And it was as if they were looking out for him as he was sort of healing, taking his time, taking the time that he needed to heal. And over time, I felt like he moved on, that he was able to cross over.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that you were not getting the belligerent contacts from Vincent during that period of time, and others were explaining to you from the other side of the veil that, Vincent's not here. He's, doing other things or whatever. Potentially healing himself, and the idea that that literally is something that you guys got to see develop that was totally different than, for instance, the other folks that literally had to flee in the middle of the night because of his belligerent attitude in the past. That's fascinating.
Yes, it definitely was, and he was scary. Our first several encounters with him, although we didn't flee, I'm sure it crossed our minds initially. He was rather scary and intimidating, especially, like I say, when he was first getting up and screaming in my face. But I thought, this is just someone who's suffering. That's all this is. It's no different than the schoolyard bully.
Yeah.
And why do they pick on other people? Because they're suffering themselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fascinating story. My goodness, you guys are authors as well. I can imagine some of the writings that you've done would include some of these stories, or the books that you write, are they totally different than that rather than research?
No, they're a combination of both. So the book, based on our 2-year investigation, I had started a blog, so every once in a while, after an investigation where something really interesting happened, we had a Facebook page for the tour that we took down when we were working on the book. But we would put these blogs, and there was a lot of interest. And then, of course, when you go into a place for 150 hours, 75 times with 500 people over 2 years, these great patterns get to emerge, like this rehab of Vincent. It took about a year, right, hon? About a year, 14 months. So the book is out. It's been out since September, October of 2018, and it's called Watch Out for the Hallway, our 2-year investigation of the most haunted library in North Carolina. Now, Rosemary Ellen Guiley at Visionary Living Publishing, she was our publisher, and the original subtitle was our 2-year investigation of a haunted library in North Carolina. But she said, looking at this book here, I I think we can say this is the most haunted library in North Carolina. And Richard Siren, who I'm sure you know,
yes.
we were on his show a couple months ago, and Richard said, no, this is probably the most haunted library in the United States, I would say. So,
yeah.
But it kind of was a perfect storm. So we've written that book, and then another book that we're working on together that'll come out the end of this year is called Roommates from Beyond, How to Live in a Haunted Home. And that book, so the hallway sort of introduces people to our experience, houses that we lived in were haunted, little introduction, how we work, our investigative style. And then basically it's a room by room, it's almost like an in-print virtual tour of the library, room by room, with photographs and data and all those kinds of things. Roommates from Beyond is going to be more of a handbook. Where so many people live in haunted homes. And we think that there's a lot of misunderstandings. It would be great maybe in the next segment, Michael, to kind of talk about some of the fundamental misunderstandings that I think some investigators have and that people who encounter spirits and ghosts have that are detrimental on both sides of the veil and kind of keep this relationship from moving forward. So that book is going to be, it's stories of all the different haunted homes that we've lived in, businesses and homes that we've been invited into to investigate. There's everything from attempted possessions to real possessions to different kinds of hauntings, different kinds of phenomena, and the high strangeness coming in, right? So we were talking with Peter and the links between interdimensional beings, UFOs, ghosts, spectral MIBs, all these different things.
Wow. Oh, that's fascinating stuff. I have an input for you as far as the law goes and ghosts and hauntings. A lot of people don't know that there is actually legal precedent in the courts for literally declaring haunted houses actually haunted. And let me tell you this: the groundbreaking case that started this whole thing. It was a real estate purchase case at the turn of the century. And this was, I believe it was out of the New York District Court area, where a gentleman bought a beautiful old-fashioned Victorian mansion, sight unseen, because he had to just move quickly. He got another job in this general area. So he went online, did the whole thing or had the brochure sent, purchased the property. It wasn't online, of course, back at the turn of the century. Purchased the property, sight unseen, and moved into the property, and literally was running into the idea of, ghost hauntings around this big old mansion. You can well imagine, back then. And literally he starts asking his neighbors. He's going, what's going on with this place? Is there anything I should know? And of course, they're all telling him at that point, well, didn't you realize that this was a very famous haunted house, has been for years, and there are ghosts living in the house? So at that point, he decides, oh, wait a minute, this is crazy. I got to get out of this deal. So he goes and files a lawsuit, against the realtor and against the seller for not disclosing the fact that this house was haunted, right? But in reality, there is no, or was no at that point, legal precedent for anyone to break a purchase and sale agreement for real estate based on the fact that the hauntings were really taking place. Long story short is that case was the very first case to rule as a matter of law that a house was literally haunted. The court ruled in that regard and said that he could rescind his purchase and sale agreement because of the haunting of this house, and it was not being disclosed. Of course, we all know nowadays that in reality, if someone even dies in a real estate purchase house before you sell it, it has to be disclosed to you. And that's the case that started that whole idea. But it literally was a case that ruled as a matter of law that hauntings existed and that this house was haunted.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Fascinating stuff. So, when I, as a, analytical thinker, as a lawyer for the last 35 years, but still interested in the paranormal, And by the way, I used to be vice president of Puget Sound Christian College out here in the Seattle area as well, a faith-based guy, my whole life. But I was always that kind of guy that was interested in, wait a minute, there is some stuff going on here, even in sacred scriptures, for instance, that we just don't explore. We just don't talk about, and you don't hear your local minister or rabbi talk about them during their services. So I've always kept an open mind to those kinds of things. And then when I find corroboration in the law for these kinds of things as well, I always try to bring it up and share it with my friends and clients and colleagues.
Yeah, that's it really is fascinating. Yep.
Wow, that's interesting. So, gosh, this was in North Carolina. You guys have now moved away from that general area, and tell us what you're up to nowadays in your new locations.
Right. So I know we're coming to the break, so we'll be quick. But so now we are after spending 8 years training with Rosemary Ellen Guiley. After a break, we could tell you about the experience we had with an interdimensional being in the very famous Point Pleasant, West Virginia Mothman territory.
Oh my goodness!
That started all of this. But now we go into homes and businesses to investigate, to help with problems, to sort things out, sometimes to sort of mediate between the living and the dead, which becomes very, very important. And so we're writing the roommate book. Steve Ward, who's very well known in paranormal circles, Steve and I are co-writing a book called Parallels and Patterns, where we're looking at high strangeness and what are the common things across ghosts, UFOs, fairies, cryptids that we can learn. What's the role of consciousness? So we're, before the days of self-isolation and quarantine, we travel quite a bit, lecture, investigate, guest investigate, teach, present. So we keep pretty busy with this stuff.
Oh my. It sounds like it, and it sounds like you've got a lot of people out there interested in what you've got to say, and it keeps you guys busy on many, many fronts. The idea that you're out investigating as well, and you're also teaching and bringing people up to speed regarding the whole idea of consciousness and how it connects everything together, which, of course, my client Grant Cameron is a big proponent of, the idea that everything seems to be connected somehow once we get down to the bottom line.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. Okay, that's fascinating. We will definitely do that after the break here. Want to thank everyone for hanging in there with us on this Spaced Out Sunday special edition that we're having with Tonya and Joey Madia, and all the things that we are learning about the veil being so thin in reality that we are actually sharing our bedrooms in some cases with spectral energies that we don't even know exist. Oh my, that's fast. I can't wait to see this next book that you've come up with. Roommates in the Bedroom. What's it called again?
Oh, Roommates from Beyond. But Roommates in the Bedroom.
Of course, Roommates from Beyond. Oh my, that's going to be interesting, given the fact that you've got all these anecdotal and other stories that go along with that. So, okay, we're going to take our top of the hour break here, and then we're going to go one more hour with Joey and with Tonya, and we're going to get into the details of what's going on lately in their lives. So we'll be right back on Spaced Out Sunday.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent, and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the Woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak Woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
My hands can feel again. I'm free. I'm remembering who I am. My hands can feel again. I'm free. I'm remembering who I am.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Sunday, everyone. I'm your host, Michael W. Hall. Thanks for being with us here tonight. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And on the digital side, we are also on Revolution Radio. Don't forget, you can always check out our archives for free at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Do us all a favor, of course, and hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and shopping at our Spaced Out Radio store, catching up on all the SOR Newswire news, and so much more. And boy, this show has just flown by. We are now in our final segment of the show with Joey and Tonya Madia, and we are talking paranormal investigations. We are literally talking about the books that they have written and are writing right now regarding the idea that we are potentially sharing spaces with spectral entities, potentially, and not even knowing about that. But, you guys, thank you for joining me, by the way, for this entire show tonight. You guys are wonderful guests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here.
Yes, it is. We're really enjoying it.
Now, here's a funny thing that's going on in the chat rooms that you guys might not have kept up with at this point, but there is conversations out there by folks that are listening to our shows thinking this. We always hear the idea that you've got to protect yourselves. There could be spectral entities that attach to you during investigations and Ouija boards and all that kind of stuff. But people are talking about, wait a minute, if ghosts and specters and spirits can potentially affect us, can they get coronavirus from us as a specter? Is that an issue that we've ever been able to affect people on the other side of the veil with our own maladies that we bring into a location when we investigate? I thought that was a fascinating subject that they're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, right? So, I could look at that a couple of ways. One way I think of looking at it is, everything that exists in the universe is energy, and everything has its own energetic frequency, vibrates at its own frequency, and viruses certainly have their own frequency that they would vibrate at. So, I guess who's to say that if we here in our corporeal bodies are carrying the frequency of a virus, that if an entity was sharing space with us, they couldn't tune into or pick up that frequency as well?
Well, here's another idea to think about that even further. I love to get down these little rabbit holes periodically that have no clue about whether it's reality or not, but it just prompts me. What if, for instance, specters, spirits, through a spirit box or a psychic person who can be intuitive enough to communicate with them, can tell whether you have some malady that you don't know about and could potentially tell you about that. Cancer, for instance, those kinds of issues that people wouldn't know necessarily unless they're a medical intuitive, of course. But wouldn't that be interesting where those guys potentially could experience or have the idea that they could understand that you're suffering from something as well?
Well, Michael, we have a recent. It's not a case. It's someone very, very close to us. I won't say who. This was about 3 months ago. Her brother, who's in his 40s, he had a very close friend, and a couple of weeks before that, before a communication from his friend died of a brain aneurysm. So this guy is sitting in his home. He has no experience with the paranormal at all. And his dead friend comes to him and he says, "You need to go to the hospital right now. You have what I have." So he trusts this. Thank God that he did. He goes to the hospital and he has 2 brain aneurysms, and they're able to save him because he went right away before it turned into a fatal thing or before he was completely incapacitated.
Oh, my word. That is a fascinating story. I'm so glad I asked that question. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. So he's doing well. He's recovering. But an interesting thing happened. After he went through that experience, then he was psychically open. And so the reason we found out about the case was that his sister came to us and said, we know this is what you guys do. Can you help us? Because he's freaking out because he's telling us that he's seeing ghosts and people who aren't there. And so through that experience, either through the brain aneurysm itself or his deceased friend opening that psychic doorway for him, other things came through, because that's what we find. Once that door gets opened, other things come in, right? So that's the Ouija board, that's a haunted house, that's someone who has a psychic experience or sees a UFO, and then suddenly they're seeing Bigfoot and all those kinds of things. So absolutely they can. They often come through dreams.
They come through dreams, and we have a very good friend in the UK, Carol Bromley. She's an amazing psychic medium, and she is often told when she's connecting with spirit people if someone's pregnant. So that's kind of a fun, she says she'll look at someone in her audience and say, congratulations, you're going to be a mom. So.
Oh my goodness. Now that is going out on a limb. That's right there for sure.
Yeah, and she says she's never been wrong about it.
Now,
even when the woman says no, and then they'll come back a few months later and say, actually, you were right about that.
Oh my goodness! Now, is there any way that she could tell whether they're going to have a girl or a boy? Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah, well, she says she can, but she doesn't share that information because she likes surprises. So.
Oh wow! It's amazing how the idea that the human organism is much more powerful than we ever could imagine. And obviously, with our worldly distractions nowadays, with the idea of rushing around, making a living, and all those kinds of things that we involve ourselves with on a daily basis, we kind of push those powers, those superpowers that we really have, out of our mind in many cases.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Colin Wilson, who wrote Occult, and he also wrote Mysteries in the 1970s, right? He was part of the whole angry young man movement, but so he sort of got pushed out of the literary world to the fringe, and they said, do you want to write this book about the occult? And he said, I don't know about the occult. I don't know about any of this, but I really could use the nice advance that you're giving me. And he wrote this tome that's wonderful about everything from Crowley to, the Theosophists and all that. But this idea that there's factor X. And we had these heightened faculties for hunting, right, when we were first coming up and in the bush and sensing danger. But in our world now, we do. We push these things away. We don't have time for them. People think we're crazy. Kids, oh, it's your imaginary friend. Oh, I just saw something out of the corner of my eye. You're making this up. There are all these cynics. But he really found that poets and other sensitives are very open to this factor X. And it's fascinating.
Oh, I like that. The factor X.
Yeah.
Oh, my. And like I said, we've both talked about people in our own family, and Tonya's grandmother, of course, and her daughter as well, kind of seemingly carrying on that X factor from generation to generation. Isn't that fascinating how that kind of works in DNA, passing on those same abilities?
Absolutely. It really is fascinating. And you just see it time and time again where you just seem to have this family lineage of people with these extraordinary abilities. But, I always say in my first book is called Living the Intuitive Life, Cultivating Extraordinary Awareness. And I talk about how we're all born with these abilities. Some of us to, greater or lesser degrees. I liken it to how some people have a fair amount of athletic ability. Some people have more music ability than others. Some of us have more psychic ability than others. But we all have these abilities. And we can cultivate them and learn how to use them to enhance not only our lives, but our relationships as well.
Oh, now that's an interesting point of view. Literally enhancing your own relationships with your loved ones and colleagues by developing these innate powers as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we all have that inner voice, that intuition, and over time, for the most part, a lot of us become conditioned not to listen to it, not to trust it. But when we open ourselves up on a variety of different levels to tuning into that inner voice, to tuning into our own intuition, paying attention to our dreams, it really can help us connect with the people in our lives. It can also bring us to meet. Actually, I have a great story about how it can bring people into your life. So in 1997, I was a single mom living in Arizona. And I hadn't quite yet, I was having experiences because I'm a lifelong experiencer, but I still hadn't really learned to trust my experiences or really know what to do with any of it. But one afternoon I was sitting at the table and I was overcome by this incredible urge that I needed to be in a play, which was very strange because not only was I not a fan of being in front of large groups, I had never done any theater in my life, but this urge was just overwhelming. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I should listen to this. And I opened up the local newspaper, and lo and behold, there was an audition notification in the newspaper for a local theater, community theater.
That would have shown you some synchronicity right there, right?
Exactly. What would the chances be of that in that moment? And there aren't a lot of theaters in that area. So this was in Scottsdale, Arizona, where the theater was. So I go to the audition and almost chicken out because I'm terrified, thinking, what am I doing? I don't know anything about theater. This is ridiculous. But I audition. And I think at that moment, okay, this whole thing must have been just overcoming fears about being in front of, large groups. And the whole thing was really just kind of overcoming my fears. I did it. It's done. Great. So I get home and I have a message on my machine that I actually got the part, which just blew me away. So I do the play. Meanwhile, Joey is living in Maine. And he has just heard from his wife at the time that she wants a divorce. He's devastated. He doesn't know what to do. So he calls his good friends who run a theater out in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah.
And says, hey, I don't know what to do. My marriage is falling apart. I'm pretty upset. And they're like, why don't you come on out and hang with us in Arizona? Get yourself together and whatnot. So he arrives at the theater right as the play that I had auditioned for is wrapping up, and that's how we met.
Oh, my goodness. And of course, Joey just falls in love with this beautiful actress that he has no idea that you just got your first part, right?
That's it. And it's funny because it was just the 23rd anniversary on April 24th where, her headshot was in the lobby of the theater along with lots of others. And there's many beautiful people, in the theater, of course, in show business. But I am immediately drawn to this picture. So my wife had just, it was like January. I said, you don't seem quite right. And she was like, yeah, I want a divorce. This is over. So all this is going on. I get served with divorce papers on Valentine's Day.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
And really had never ventured out, had always stayed on the East Coast. So just the fact that I said, I have a few $1,000s to my name. I'm leaving my job. I'm leaving my life. I'm walking through the store. What do I do? So I spend this 6 weeks out in the Arizona desert, playing some golf and trying to come to terms with this huge change in my life that I did not precipitate. And I see this picture and I say, hey, who's that? And 2 nights later, they set us up on a blind date. And coming up now, May 8th will be the 23rd anniversary of our first official date.
Oh, my.
And we started dating a couple months later. We're engaged in September, and we're married in December, the day after Christmas.
Wonderful.
And all because of honoring intuition.
Yes. Gosh, that story reminds me of the classic time travel love story, Somewhere in Time.
Yes.
Literally, where Christopher Reeve, playing this young playwright, has writer's block and decides he's going to just chuck it all in for the weekend and go to stay at the Grand Hotel in Mackinac Island in Michigan, literally where there are no cars allowed on the island, very throwback, to the Victorian era. And literally sees a photograph in the gallery of the hotel of a woman that lived 100 years prior to him and falls in love with the photograph up there and literally then wills himself back in time in this old-fashioned Victorian hotel and wakes up in 1910 and then actually gets to meet her. And they fall in love. It's a wonderful story. And it reminds me of your guys' story. That's fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, that really is. I never thought of it. Yes.
I never thought of that either.
It is. And that idea that we can will ourselves back to other places. Tonya and I have come to believe that this has kind of been a love affair that's been going on over maybe eons of time.
Yes. I was just going to mention that idea. That in reality, I believe we kind of follow soul families, soul relationships from lifetime to lifetime periodically. And in reality, we branch out. We have relationships, and experiences with many of our soul family and friends. But then again, we kind of, during maybe even times of crisis like you had there, the idea that we kind of find each other again when we need each other, during that lifetime that we're experiencing strife or stress. That's fascinating.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that unquestionably, right? So Plato wrote about soulmates or twin flames, which I love the idea of twin flames.
Right.
And we do find these people over time, and it usually comes up with these weird synchronicities. And our first date, Tonya and I are playing miniature golf. And it's, my dad was a chief petty officer and, was in naval intelligence. Oh, my dad was in the Air Force and he worked for the NSA. Oh, my brother screwed up and got kicked out of the Navy when he was 18. Well, my brother did. Oh, well, my parents lost their house in a mortgage foreclosure when I was 14. Son of a gun, so did mine. So it was like the universe said, and Tonya and I are two very different people, which makes us a nice unit. But early on, that could be a red flag. Oh, wow, we have nothing in common.
Yeah.
So I think the universe said, okay, well, let's bring up these things up front to create some common ground with these two. So, yeah.
Isn't that fascinating? Where in reality, if you had, thought about it, I think in many of our relationships, if we had time to think about it a longer period of time, we would have said to ourselves, wait a minute, this isn't ever going to work. We've got too many disparate things that we don't really get along with or have different, experiences with. But in reality, we are literally sometimes thrown together, like you said, twin flames for a purpose, I believe, for something that might be well beyond what we individually want. But together, it makes sense for the universe potentially.
Yeah, I would say that that's our story, absolutely, in a nutshell.
Yeah, and you were talking about soul families, and I absolutely agree with you about that. And not only when I first met Joey, I mean, the instant that we met, I didn't recognize him so much, like physically, but there was something in his eyes that I immediately just remembered. And there was this immediate connection. I didn't know how or why. It was just sort of a remembrance of whatever that was, that soul in his eyes, which reminds me of something that happened with our son Jeremy. When he was about 3 years old, he started having these, what we thought of as past life memories. So he would wake up from his nap in the afternoon and he'd look very confused and befuddled, and he would look around the room and he'd say, where am I? Where's my family? And we'd say, well, we're your family, bud. Like, we're right here. And he'd say, no, I mean, my wife and my 5 kids, I'm a fireman and the hoses are heavy and the fires are really hot. And he'd go into this detail that no 3-year-old should really have about fighting fires,
Yeah.
And one afternoon we were having lunch together, and again, Jeremy was about 3 years old, and he turns to me and he's sort of looking at me, and he's turning his head kind of from side to side, and he's really examining me closely, staring at my face. All of a sudden, his eyes get really wide, and he looks at me and says, "It's you!" And I was like, "Yeah, it's your mom, bud." And he's like, no, don't you remember when I used to be a grown-up and we were friends and I would come to your house and brush your hair and we would go out dancing? And so he was clearly having these past life recollections.
Oh, my goodness. Isn't that fascinating to think that your son could have been possibly a close friend of yours in another lifetime? And not your son. Oh my! I think that's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I know we're coming to the end of the segment, but 2 quick things about the soul flame and to bring Jeremy into it. So, when the universe is determined to put you in the next place, it will do amazing things. So being in the theater in New Jersey, I had met this beautiful girl, and I was married and nothing happened, but we did a bunch of plays together. But when my wife left me, I said, oh, maybe this is an opportunity to connect with this girl. Maybe something is there.
Yeah.
So I go to visit her. It was the most disastrous weekend, Michael, that you could ever imagine. Anything that could possibly go wrong went wrong that weekend, and it scared me to death. And so I went out to Arizona, not going, oh, maybe there's a future with this girl, but going, oh, I really don't think that there's a future with this girl, which left me open to Tonya. So the last thing, quick, again, Jeremy's 3 years old. He has his bath at night. I'm combing his hair, and he looks at me. Now, keep in mind, everyone, this is a 3-year-old. He says, Dad, and keep in mind, Jeremy's not my biological son. I adopted him when he was 5 years old, and he very much is my son. But He has a biological father that's not in his life. He says, Dad, do you know why your wife left you? So I kind of looked at him and I said, well, I have some theories, Jeremy, but what do you think, right? Not knowing what to expect. And he looks at me with these beautiful blue eyes, and he says, because the angels knew that I needed a daddy and mommy needed a husband.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a fantastic perspective from a young person. Oh my. I love that.
Yeah.
That we're going to take that one into the break. How about that? Oh my goodness. We're going to be right back, folks, with the last half hour of Spaced Out Sunday. with Joey and Tonya Madia.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Spaced Out Sunday. Boy, this show is just flown by. Joey and Tonya are phenomenal guests, and we are talking about all sorts of interesting paranormal activity, ghost investigations and tours, and the idea that the veil is a lot thinner than we think. That's for sure. So, you guys, thank you for hanging in there with me for this entire 3-hour show. We are almost coming down to the wire here, and it has flown by. We are just having fun.
Oh, yes, we are. We were just talking about what a spectacular host you are, so thank you.
Oh, well, that's so flattering. Thank you so much. Coming from you guys who have your own show, that is quite an honor to say. Thank you. And by the way, I like to take this time during the show to remind our listeners out there how they can get a hold of your materials, watch your own shows, your podcasts, and make sure that they can catch up on all that you do. So why don't you give your info out for everybody right now?
Sure. I can be reached through my professional Facebook page, which is just my name, Tonya Madia, and there are letters that just kind of represent what I do, so it's Tonya Madia, RYT, RMT, and LMT. That's my Facebook professional page.
And Tonya, I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to explain what those initials are after your professional credits, because people might not realize the extent of your background.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So RYT stands for Registered Yoga Teacher. RMT is Reiki Master Teacher. Oh. LMT is for Licensed Massage Therapist, and I won't have letters associated with it, but I've just completed my training for hypnosis, so I'm also a hypnotist.
Oh my goodness. Good for you. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, keep going.
And Joey can be reached on Facebook as well through his professional Facebook page, which is
Joey Medea professional page.
Okay, well that's
easy to remember. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. Love to interact with people, collect reports. You can send us messages. And you mentioned our show. Thank you for doing that. We have a show called Into the Outer Realms, and it's a live stream. It happens every Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a mix of guests, and then we'll have topics. We have an episode that we do once a month called Audience-Led Exploration, and we ask the audience for ideas about what's going on, what are you curious about, what do you want to talk about, and then we interact with them in the chat room, and we have these virtual discussions, which is really nice. So you need to go on Facebook in order to access that. It's through Sky Door Network is our producers, and but you can engage with us on Into the Outer Realms. Our books are available on Amazon or through Visionary Living Publishing, and we keep everybody informed about what's going on. Once all this has passed, and we can all go outside and gather again. We're going to be very busy in the fall, traveling to Indiana, Iowa, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, doing different presentations and workshops and things.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll be busy as well with my business partner, Emily Mittermeier, who is also in her own right a very experienced psychic and paranormal investigator. And about a year ago, Emily and I started a business venture with soap and candles. So we have paranormal themed soaps and candles. And that is called Outer Realms Bathworks. And Emily and I had lots of events that we were supposed to be showing up for and having a vendor table at, including the Oddities Expo in Columbus. But of course, with everything that's going on, many of those have postponed. So we're hoping to be on the road with our soaps and candles as well.
Oh my, you guys are well-rounded professionals in this regard, with all the stuff you're into. And I can imagine that once we get beyond this lockdown into whatever the new normal is going to be, you guys are going to be in high demand here as far as all the things that you offer people. That's just great. I really appreciate being able to share this today with you. And by the way, we got to give a shout out to our mutual friends, Kelly, Stefan, and Matt Bennett there from Skydor Network, who literally are the ones that kind of like hooked us up in the past, through the Academy of Paranormal Arts and Sciences as well. So it's kind of fun for us to be able to have a connection that way.
Right, and also, too, we would be remiss if we didn't thank our good friend Mark Eddy.
Yes, definitely. What a guy.
Together.
Yeah. He really is.
And the kind of professional folks in these podcast industries out there literally are making a big difference for people that are literally hunting for the truth and for information during this time of global crisis. This, obviously, we have to take pause and realize this is something that has never really happened on our planet, that we are all living through. And I think probably, from you guys' point of view, you might agree with me that we're probably agreeing to be here during this period of time for some better reason, for being born when we did.
I think that's very true. So we've been very busy with Tonya's automatic writing, and we get a lot of tasks from this Council of 9, Council of 12. Go back to your dream journals from 10 years ago and look at this and figure it out. But the salient message that we all keep getting is keep your vibration high. Viruses are low vibration. So we were talking about this a little. Can we give it to spirits and ghosts? I suppose that a low vibrational spirit could be tapped into that frequency, but we need to meditate. We need to spread love. We need to spread hope. We need to be positive. It will help us. Not that that's medical advice, right? So we have to be really careful in this climate about wacky medical advice.
Yeah.
But to keep our vibration high and to keep positive, and really a sense that this is a watershed moment. Peter was talking about it. Is there going to be disclosure? I found it very interesting, Michael, and I wonder if you did too, that the Pentagon, in the midst of this crisis, makes an official statement about these videos that have been around for years. I found that very curious, the timing of it. So there, it does seem to be this cosmic balancing between light and dark, and that we can all play a role by sharing the truth and illuminating what's going on.
You're very perceptive there, Joey, because it was my shock as well. This was, by the way, just last Monday that the U.S. Navy and the Pentagon republished those 3 gun camera footage of the UFOs, one of them called FLIR 1, one of them called Go Fast, and then the third one called Gimbal. The three videos we've seen for many years, actually. They've been out since 2017 on that front page article of the New York Times, where they were literally embedded in there, so you could see them the first time back then. And you're right. The idea is, what is the deal where they're re-releasing them during this lockdown of the world and confirming indeed that these things are unidentified. They are, even go beyond that and say they're not ours, they're not China's or Russia's as well. They are completely unidentified craft that are literally buzzing around our skies. So, and of course, then Peter is brought up the fact that, well, the Navy should probably know for a long time that this is going on with their naval, what did he call it, intelligence or Skynet that they have, around the entire country. So I think that's very intuitive that you thought of that. It was kind of interesting as well. Why did they come out just recently and do that again?
Yeah. It's are we preparing for something? You hear all kinds of things, when you we've been doing this now for 10 years, but very much so in the past 2 years, and you start to meet people and you get into the inner circles of the inner circles and all, right? You build trust with people. And people really wonder, is disclosure coming? There's some talk in the shadows of these beings that have been visiting and interacting with us for a very, very, very long time are going, now is the time. Either you tell them or we're going to tell them. But, and I think that's why they're showing up and we're seeing these light shows. What Peter reported about the one vessel coming out of the other one, or the one light coming out of the other light, we're seeing more and more reports of these lights that merge and things coming out of motherships, and it looks like they're giving birth to 8 or 10 or 12 smaller objects.
Yes.
So we're really paying close attention. It's aligned with what these councils are saying, what other people are reporting. People seem to be having dreams that are very, very interesting. And my personal hope is maybe we're going to come out of the other side of this in a very different place, where our relationship to the universe and to each other is profoundly different.
Yes, I think that's a great synopsis. By the way, I always feel that there is potentially positive, unintended positive consequences coming out of strife like this. In reality, I think people are realizing that their personal relationships mean a lot more to them than they did when they were so busy running around and not having to work and, all these distractions. The idea that, for instance, maybe they need to slow down, listen to that still small voice, inside their own being from time to time. I think that will be some of those positive things that'll be coming out of this.
I absolutely agree. And I hear that a lot from the people that I work with and a lot of my friends, that it's, they're noticing, wow, I'm really enjoying this quiet, stillness that I'm able to enjoy, and this extra time for self-care and meditation, self-reflection. We're always so busy and outwardly focused in our, previous to all of this, rushing around all the time, trying to juggle and multitask and so on. So this has really been an important time for people to slow down and listen, as you said.
And, I'm a baby boomer. I was born in 1952, way back in the old days. I'm 67 currently. But as I get older, I feel that all I really need to do is make those small corrections as we flow with the forces that are happening around us. It used to be I used to always, paddle against the current, try to get faster down the road, and do those kinds of things. I'd be doing zigzags, that kind of thing. But now I'm realizing that if I just make those small corrections and stay in the middle of the flow, and not worry so much about the outcome, as long as I keep myself positive, things kind of like are drawn to me much easier, much better, I think, with that kind of an attitude. It's not like I used to be in charge of my life, Now I realize there's no way I am, and all I'm going to do here, the best possible scenario in this life experience, is to experience what I'm supposed to experience and take from that with me. That's the only thing we're going to take with us, obviously, when we get out of here.
Absolutely.
Right. So you mentioned when you were reading my bio that I've studied a lot of spiritual systems. So you're talking about a lot of things, but you're really talking about the Tao, right? About that flow.
Yeah.
How water works on rock over time. And we have a wonderful, in 2 weeks, he's going to be on our show, William Horden, who has a direct lineage to the ancient I Ching masters. He died. He had a massive heart attack and crossed over and came back. He's a fascinating man, but he gives this great image of exactly what you were talking about. So you're in this rubber raft going down the river. You're going to encounter rocks. You're going to encounter sticks and all. So let them just bounce away. And if they change your trajectory just a little, go with it, because it may take you to a great place. So I was very, right, Italian-American, Roman Catholic, oldest son, very ambitious. Where you look at my bio, and I've done a few things in 51 years, let's say. And the experiences that we had over the course of our life, especially since Tonya and I have been together, is to go, resist less, trust more, to be able to say to the universe, biblically, it's thy will be done, but spiritually, it's so mote it be. And it's just releasing that and saying, I'm willing to take the journey. I'm willing to trust. And I think that's exactly what you were talking about. And it's so important now, because we can wake up one morning and be told that we're not leaving the house for 8 weeks at all.
Yeah.
So the rules have changed. Anything goes now. So that I'm very much in alignment with what you were saying.
Yeah. No, it is fascinating. It's a whole new thought process that I was raised, and my parents were raised. The whole idea of you make your life the way it is. You work hard. You push, and everything that you create is going to be coming from your own efforts. And in reality, I'm finding out if I just align myself with that Tao, that chi, whatever's, flowing through the universe, and I'm just a part of it. It's just amazing. Things come to me much more positive that way, and I'm not pushing so hard. So I think that's great advice that you're both giving.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just trusting and seeing what comes your way. It's, when we force things, it's been my experience in life, when I feel like I want something really badly and I force and push for it, and it never works out too well. So it always works out better if I just kind of sit back and let the universe take care of things. Yeah.
And you know what I've been practicing more often lately, you guys probably as well, is just verbalizing and mentally thinking this, my own gratefulness, just for being, and not that I'm grateful because I have this. I'm grateful for that. Just literally being grateful, and joyful as well. That I get to experience this time that we have here. I think all of us have had close brushes with eternity in our lifetimes on this planet this time around, and I've got my own, and I just realized, oh my gosh, for instance, my father passed away at 49 of his second heart attack, and that runs in my family, and the kind of thing, high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. And here I am still alive in my 60s, going to be 70s here soon. And I just every once in a while think to myself, oh, my word, I am just so grateful. And you know what is happening to me periodically, you guys? I don't know if you have experienced this lately, but literally I will get periodic flashes of well-being.
Oh, yeah.
That just come out of the blue. And of course, when I was the professional worrier that I used to always be, I would never experience that. But periodically, I will literally just think to myself, wow, I feel wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's key. Gratitude and all these messages that we're getting from the councils and dreams and all of this. This is a difficult time, and it could go either way. And there are forces that are working against our well-being. On this side of the veil, on the other side of the veil. But they say, "Do not fear; all will be well." And that sense that all will be well is very much, I think, what you're talking about. That I'm okay. We're okay. We just have to do our thing. We just have to, spread the love and the light and the hope. And I know that sounds kind of hippie, but I think it really works.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's kind of one of those things you have to experience on your own as far as a lifestyle to really appreciate. And, we've all been through relationships that didn't work out, that, fortunately now work out. And you wonder, oh my gosh, how did I get through all of that in the past? And why did I end up where I'm at today? And I literally would probably tell myself or anyone else, I would never give up any of those old experiences that I had, but I am so glad that I'm where I am now.
Yes. Yeah, that's the key. Yeah. No regrets, but gratitude for the present. I think that's what, people say, if you could go back and do it over again, would you have not married that girl, or would you have? No, I wouldn't touch a thing, because right now, today, we're here with you and all of your listeners, and it's been wonderful. So I wouldn't change one little moment.
Yeah, no, it's almost as if you would not probably appreciate it as much if you didn't go through those experiences that were maybe even a little painful at the time. It's almost like that old Garth Brooks song, "Thank God for Unanswered Prayers." I really like that song.
Yes, no kidding. The universe knows better than we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys, this has just been an honor for me to hook up with the both of you, to share a few hours on a Sunday evening here at Spaced Out Sunday. And again, we're going to have both of you back as we go into this boldly go where no person has gone before in this new normal, because all of us are kind of like feeling our way through what's going to happen after this whole thing is better. And I want to commend both of you for all that you are doing for the positive light that we are needing in this whole time, where everyone is literally trying to struggle through a situation that is very unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And thank you to you as well for your work.
Oh, you're welcome. This is a lot of fun. The idea that an old dog like me can even think of using modern technology, to get out there and share with people like yourselves around the planet, though. So, again, we're going to mention the fact that you guys have your own podcast and show called Into the Outer Realms every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that right?
That's correct. And it's actually a live stream, so you can see us. This week we are talking about, help me. We're talking about astral travel, lucid dreaming, and the role of consciousness.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll be back to the guest. Yeah, so it should be a great hour.
Well, thank you again for all you're doing, and we will ask you to come back here shortly, I'm sure, on Spaced Out Sunday. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joey and Tonya Madia. Check them out on their websites. Buy their books on Amazon. My gosh, we need to support one another during this period of time. And a lot of people are hunkered down. Why not get a book sent to you that you would really enjoy reading? So thanks, you guys. We will talk to you later.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a wonderful night.
You too.
There once was a man who had some land in eastern Washington. And on his land, this man, he had a deep, dark hole upon. People came from miles around to throw their trash down in to see how deep the hole was. and listen for its end. Then one day, that fateful day, they forced Mel off his land. They paid him off and sent him off down under with a plan. They hid Mel's hole and covered it up so ne'er it could be found, so no one would ever know what's deep down in Mel's ground. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-oh. There's no bottom to Mel's hole. So if you chance to find yourself in Eastern Washington,
I want to remind everyone that Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. You can find more information and music at bumblefoot.com. A special thanks to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, at work, and the chat rooms around the world. Remember, this show is currently copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thanks for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Good night, everyone. Talk to you next Sunday.